Before we get to this very special episode, we at Taste would like to send a very big hug to all of you affected by the Los Angeles wildfires. We are all thinking about you and hoping for a fast recovery. And listeners, if you would like to donate to support the relief efforts, we have included links in the show notes. And for those of you in and around LA or planning a visit soon, we also encourage you to get out and dine. It's one of the best ways to show the hospitality community you care. Now, on to the show.
I just love it because it has the most actual Asian Americans per capita in the U.S. And that just equates to a really great time for those that love food, that love culture. And being a native, born and raised Angelino, I would recommend everyone to come here and check out the food.
This is Taste on the Road in California, presented by Visit California. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Today we have a very special episode. Visit California invited us out of the studio and over to the West Coast for a road trip around Orange County and the San Gabriel Valley. We're starting our road trip at the Mercado Gonzalez at the Northgate Market in Costa Mesa, a sprawling Mexican mercado with a very well-curated lineup of food vendors serving regional Mexican specialties. Eliza and I visited on a busy Sunday afternoon for pozole, churros, and many surprises along the way.
I hope they're going to have mariachis here today. That's my... They have them on
Tip
the
your
weekends.
mariachis always. Northgate Market, you've wanted to come here for a while. I have, at least.
There's
What we've read
Northgate
about.
markets all over
Right.
the greater LA area, but we're at Northgate Market in Costa Mesa, which has a very good food court, as
Yeah.
we've been told.
Dude, we've been talking about churros for like 2 days.
Well, once I found out they had an El Moro churros here, I got very excited.
We enter the bustling shopping area and are struck by the abundance of fresh and packaged products for sale.
I'm observing just how cool each of the sections are designed.
Okay, they have tapache if you want to get some.
Yeah, fresh tapache. All right, we're having free samples. Thank you very much. Beautiful to have a...
So good. The chicken salsa verde. Okay, they have different kinds of tamales here. Yeah, I'm looking at all of these like dried fruits, and they have cajeta, which is like goat milk caramel, which is so delicious, and then this like caramelized pumpkin candy, which is so good.
Oh, the
Wow,
produce.
there's just so much to look at. Okay.
Yeah, and then they got the meat counter, which is massive.
Also all the guavas.
Yeah. Wow, look at the variety of moles.
I like low-key want to bring some home with me.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if it would
The
count as a
verde.
liquid on the plane, but they have,
It
let's
probably
count how many
more
kinds they
solid
have.
than liquid.
We're in the food court. It's absolutely packed right now.
It's a madhouse here. It's like no seats available.
The food court is packed with a variety of puestos, or food stalls, selling tamales, tacos, aguachile, ceviches, and many other delicious offerings. We decide on pozole, a brothy, hominy-based stew from one of the busy stalls.
Can I have a pozole verde, please? Okay. What do you have instead? Red? Okay. I'll do
Yeah.
red instead.
Only one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And good news, the mariachi band is setting up as we speak.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little heartbroken.
We luck out and find an open table on the crowded back patio. We dig into the pozole's rich broth, packed with flavorful pieces of pork, cilantro, tomatillos, and plenty of chiles.
What do you think about it, though? I mean, I'm getting
Ooh.
the broth is alone without any of the corn is really amazing. Like, very clean and clear. You put a lot of lime in there.
Me? Do you think it's too much?
No, it's not.
I think it's what it needs,
Yeah.
especially if you're gonna once you mix it all around. and
I'm just
everything.
going broth. I'm not even doing the full bite. It's really good.
You can't say it's good if you haven't had the full bite.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying out of looks.
Yeah.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Eliza takes her place in the crowd of 100 or so market visitors listening to the mariachi trio. A Sunday NFL game plays above the band. Agua frescas are sipped, pozole is slurped. This is clearly where you want to be on a Sunday afternoon in Orange County.
And then, okay, we're gonna get churros and coffee.
Have you ever waited in line for a churro like this? Yeah.
Every one of their locations.
Everyone is always. Well, this is the first time I've stood in line for a churro.
Really?
And I'm feeling pretty excited about that. Yeah, I don't think I have.
We are waiting for a churro at El Moro, a wildly popular chain in Mexico. When the Mercado opened in 2023, this was the only place you could try outrageously long and perfectly crisp versions outside of Mexico.
If you haven't had a lot of churros, a fresh churro that's like still warm, that has that almost custardy interior is so different than like the ones that have been fried ahead of time and just like sitting out. You know?
Yeah, I mean, being warm, having it warm.
It's like going to Krispy Kreme when the light's on.
Right, when the light's on.
The churros are served with warm chocolate and caramel, and sometimes paired with one of the signature hot chocolates available in Mexican, Spanish, French, and vegan variations.
Look at that. Yum.
I'm going for the caramel first. Yeah, it's very thick. This is my first
It's so good.
El Moro churro.
Look inside, you can see it has that like honeycomb cannelé cruller structure, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a nice fry line around the outside. I like that a lot. And you said creamy, that's the exact words.
I just feel so happy that like grocery stores like this can exist and that they have like so many different parts of Mexican cuisine and culture to share.
Yeah.
And just for like everybody local here who's able to like come here on a Sunday with their family and like get what they need for the week or like have a meal together like before the week starts. Like that's just such a beautiful like third place that grocery stores and restaurants could be.
Absolutely.
We hit the road for our next stop, a visit with Sarah Lizama, the owner of Rye Goods, an acclaimed sourdough bakery and deli with 3 locations throughout Orange County in Lido, Newport, Tustin, and Laguna Beach.
So, Sarah, I'm sitting with you on the patio at Rye Goods at the Laguna location on a beautiful Sunday. Everyone is here eating pastries, and it's just so fun to be with you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
When you talk about baking in this part of California, like Rye Goods is like always part of that conversation. And obviously in the name, I feel like your interest in whole grains and like heritage grains is a part of that. Have you always been interested in that? And like, what do you think that brings to your baking?
I've always been interested in it. I went to a very traditional culinary school. I mean, it's pretty normal, but for me, it was odd. We didn't see any farms. We didn't talk to any farmers. We didn't see any grain. It was just white flour and your most basic grocery store staples. And that leads to you just kind of going out and finding what you're looking for. And that was going to Europe a lot, you know, going to Italy, like going to all of these different countries that really love their grain production and it shines in their baking. And if there's no kind of bullshit about it, it's just pure. I kind of brought that back. That was obviously a big inspiration. And then figured out how to source that here. And to my surprise at the time, it's just like the Central Valley is so close to LA, so close to here. All of that stuff is just like arm's reach away. And it was very easy once you started looking to find like these really great grains, really great ingredients. Obviously, farmers markets galore in LA, and it's beautiful.
I think maybe a lot of our listeners have heard or know that like whole grains have more flavor profile, certainly like a better nutritional impact. I'm curious from the baking point of view, like what does working with whole grains allow you to do that you can't do like just with traditional AP white flour?
I mean, it's quite the opposite. We aren't allowed to do a lot of stuff because it's whole grain. Our croissants and all of our pastry come out quite a bit denser and thicker and definitely more sour. And so that's not for everybody, but we love it. I mean, who wouldn't want more flavor? But I love whole grains. I think it does so well for your flavor profile, for your health, for just everything. It does make it quite a bit harder to produce, but it's worth it.
So we've been nibbling on some of the pastries while we've been here, and I'm really into this like savory squash. Is it Danish, I guess is the right way to call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the savory squash Danish and the blueberry scone. Do you feel like there are any items that you're especially known for at the bakery?
Definitely. I mean, our sourdough bread, hands down our sourdough bread. And then we do a a sourdough croissant, which is a little bit different. And I think most people kind of come in and are looking for those items. And the morning bun has got to be our biggest seller. That's just across the board. It seems like at every bakery everywhere, people love that particular item. But yeah, anything that has rye in it, our chocolate chip cookie is all rye and people go crazy for that. We sell a ton of that. But
I love that. And you have 3 locations across Orange County. You're working on another one. Like, what do you think people are looking for out of their bakeries, like here in the OC?
I think they're just looking for like quality goods, things that aren't your average kind of, I don't know, Starbucks-esque pastry. If I will say no hate to Starbucks.
Yeah, it's a really nice like niche to be able to fill in a community. I think like a bakery fits into the rhythm of people's daily lives or weekly, like coming in and getting their loaf of bread for the week. I would imagine you guys have a lot of regulars and people that you're seeing often.
A ton of regulars. And a huge part of Rye was to focus on just a really great staff for the community. And I think that's the biggest feedback that we get is that our staff is so nice and everybody kind of remembers each other and remembers the regulars that come in, and it just feels good to come in.
Christy Hang is a journalist and intrepid reporter covering the San Gabriel Valley restaurant scene. The SGV, as is commonly known, is a wide area east of downtown Los Angeles, and Hang drives around the streets looking for the latest openings covering the communities of Chinese, Vietnamese, Mexican, Thai, and Japanese immigrants who live there. We asked Christy to give us a tour of some of her favorite new and under-the-radar restaurants, and she did not disappoint.
Christy, we're driving around in your car right now in the San Gabriel Valley, going on a little eating tour. And I'm wondering to start if you could tell me a little bit about this neighborhood, this part of LA that we're in, and why it's such a special place to be eating.
Yeah, so we are in the San Gabriel Valley. This is just an amazing spot, especially it's a food mecca, honestly. And I just love it because it has the most actual Asian Americans per capita in the US. And that just equates to a really great time for those that love food, that love culture. And being a native born and raised Angelino, I would recommend everyone to come here and check out the food.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also was born and raised here in LA, but on the west side, and getting out to SGV was kind of like more of a special treat we would do, or certainly if I was, keeping on driving, you would have to stop and get like a banh mi or something here. And I think that some people might know the region for having like a lot of Szechuan food, for example, a lot of Chinese food, but there's really like such a diversity of like different groups of people that are out here. Can you tell me a little bit about the spots that you chose for us to visit today?
Yeah, I wanted to give you guys a taste of a little bit of everything. So how things have changed in this area is that it's based on immigration. So what types of people have come over, they've really brought their cuisine over, which we've seen according to what places open, what places close, and what places do well in the San Gabriel Valley. And a lot of places, like for example, the big brand names in China that are restaurants, they come here to test their brands to see if they'll do well or not in the US. So a lot of the places, the big boba shops, everything will open here first to kind of test the waters out to see if they'll do well or not. And today we have a little bit of everything for you. I'm taking you to my favorite spots, which range from Chinese fine dining to maybe an Indonesian market we're gonna head to, hopefully if we have time, but also my favorite banh mi shop, which actually just opened a few months ago and just is the best banh mi in all of Los Angeles. Banh mi Hua Fat, and the owner's name is Kenny.
Banh Mi Ho Fat, located in a side street in Monterey Park, specializes in roasted pork, wedged between freshly baked baguette and topped with a very special sauce.
So this is my favorite spot. I do recommend the crispy pork. And maybe since we are going to like a bunch of places, we'll just share 2.
Okay.
Can we cut it in half?
Sure.
And then drinks?
Yeah.
So he MacGyvers his own boxes. If you see it when it comes out in the box, he literally cuts a hole in it so it stays crispy.
What do you mean, like so the steam can go out?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you don't want a soggy banh mi. Like
Yeah.
it's just, God, the first bite is just amazing.
And he's making the bread back here too, right?
Making the bread. So when this first opened, I don't know if he did specially today because I told him that we're coming late. Sometimes he sold out by 12.
Wow.
And they don't close till 4. The lines just go wrap around. I mean, it's a small place.
Was it like that when you came here? Or?
No, it was dead. But I came here before it had a Yelp review, before anything.
How did you find out about it?
Driving up and down.
Yeah.
I've been doing this job for so long, I can't cook. So I eat out every single meal.
So you know as soon as there's like a ripple.
Oh yeah, some weird sign, I'm going.
Your like stomach starts
We
to
just
rumble.
chatted and I was like, yeah, I'll post for him, you know.
Yeah.
But then I tasted it. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I feel like a good banh mi is such a special experience.
Bread just came out.
When you eat it, like what are the qualities of it that you think make it exceptional?
Well, I think everyone has a different opinion whether how crispy they like their banh mi, right? Some people like it very, very crispy. Some people like it soft and pillowy. I'm on the soft and pillowy side. I don't like it to cut my lip or cut my tongue up, my mouth up when I'm having a banh mi. But of course, that's just personal preference.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you need a good tasting bread. You need it to be fresh. You can taste the difference when they're buying other people's bread and just putting their old cold cuts on it and whatnot. And they make their own crispy pork here. They make their own bread here. Everything's in-house, so they do run out, but you taste the difference. It makes a world of difference. Thank you. Thank you.
So we're driving to Good Alley right now, and can you tell me about this next spot, what we're gonna look for when we're there, what we're gonna get?
Yeah, so Good Alley is actually, I think it's one of the most exciting openings this year. Actually, the owner and the head chef are the same owner and head chef as the restaurant next door, which is actually considered a San Gabriel landmark, kind of. The restaurant next door has been open for a little bit over 20 years. And they decided to open Good Alley, but Good Alley has actually been around 13 years in the making. They purposely made this restaurant, they want a really cozy vibe to it, and I think you're gonna really enjoy it when you get there. It's not pretentious, but they use really good ingredients, and it's just very clear that they have food that really stands out.
It's really so fun just to be driving around with you because like this is your beat. You were telling us before when we were at our banh mi spot that you just spent so many years during COVID and after like driving up and down the streets of the San Gabriel Valley, like checking on restaurants as they're opening and closing. And I'm curious, like having seen all of that, like what would you say is the current era of SGV that we're in?
I think the SGV is the ultimate testing grounds. People are wary of BS. They want quality, they want good taste, but they're not going to fall for your gimmicky things. So I think the SGV is just like, they expect good food, they know good food, and everyone's kind of like a foodie.
Good Alley opened in Rosemead last fall and specializes in guangtongbao, a soup dumpling from the city of Kaifeng in Henan, located 400 miles southwest of Beijing.
Do you guys want to choose your table, like over there?
Oh, do that one.
Okay. So first off, let me tell you about the drinks here, because that was the most unexpected thing for me. I expected the food to be good. They imported a tea espresso machine. Have you had tea espresso drinks?
Yeah, they like a couple like boba places in New York do it, but it's not as common.
Yeah, so definitely it basically mimics the process of a tea ceremony, the 3 stages of a tea ceremony within like 5 minutes. And
so crazy.
And so the drinks are excellent. Highly recommend their drinks.
Yeah, let's get some for sure. Oh, and they do like the cheese foam tea.
Yes, and if you want to get less sweet, we can have that done too. One of the things I thought I would not like, but ended up loving, was the grape slush. Icy green grape slush with cheese foam. Sounds disgusting, is amazing. The hand muddled lemon is amazing. It's very similar to the one on the side of the street, but with a normal lemon, not the perfume lemon. Milk tea is amazing. They also have, so boba isn't that popular anymore in China. It's not considered healthy, so they like using water chestnut or barley, and so those are and agar-agar and coconut. So those are the toppings that they like to use. So there's no actual boba here, but their drinks are amazing, and you can use other toppings.
That's cool. I definitely want to do like an oolong milk tea. I want a little bit of caffeine. Let's do the osmanthus one, maybe.
Highly recommend their drinks. The muskets are definitely the dumplings and the burger or the sandwich.
Should we do like cucumbers? Just like something fresh.
Cucumbers, XO sauce?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do it. I think maybe we start here. What do you
Sure,
think?
yeah. You can always add.
Yeah.
So the dumplings, which you'll see, look very similar to xiaolongbao, but they're not. They're actually the predecessor of xiaolongbao. And in order to learn how to do them right, the head chef actually went to China and learned from the originator of guantongbao in China, the 5th generation owner, to learn how to do it right, and then brought it here. So actually, the original place in China shuttered during COVID. So they're the remaining person that learned under them. So they're actually making the dumplings behind that wall, but they got really shy, so they put something.
Put the thing down.
Yeah.
It's always funny. I feel like people want to crowd in so much, but it's like being in a fish tank.
Yeah.
Wedged in a nondescript shopping plaza in Temple City is one of Southern California's finest Beijing-style restaurants. The high-end and high-minded Bistro Naz is famous for its crispy shrimp, tofu skin salad, and of course, Peking duck that is a lesson in getting all the details right.
So we are headed to what I would think is what I consider the best Peking duck in all of Los Angeles currently at Bistro Naz in Temple City.
We're gonna take the elevator up right now, or should we just walk?
Oh, we can walk. Yeah, we
need to walk. Yeah.
It's the least we can do with all the food we
We
eat.
actually need to do like laps up and down the staircase for a couple minutes.
Hello. 約咗嘅，我睇下揾邊個先係。
So I love how we have this like whole table we can spin it
They
around.
definitely, and they match the cutlery and everything. The
So
plates.
pretty. The little like chopstick rest.
Definitely. Chef Tian bringing in
Wow.
the star of the show. So this is from a Southern California farm, but the ones in China, within 42 days you can slaughter them for the perfect meat. The ones here take up to 5 months. And
这边是有规定的。
Oh, so it's a rule that they require it to be that way. And so that's why he still isn't too happy with the duck. I'm sure you disagree, the duck is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not to his standard yet. And a lot of that is because of the duck that they get. So a lot of it is because he refuses to get duck that has been frozen previously. And that is the one requirement he has. He doesn't want anything frozen. A lot of it, how the blood flows in the duck affects the meat as well. And so he won't take anything frozen, and that's the concessions he has to make in order to get fresh duck here, which is 5 months aged. In China, you can get it in 42 days. And that makes a difference because he finds that the duck meat in China is a lot more, how to say it, it's thinner, it's not as thick as the one here, so not quite on the quality of China. But for here, this is the best that we can get. He still has hopes that he can do better, but he's a very strict man.
Yeah.
He wants the best. That's why he only makes at most 6 a day. He's gone months without them. If it doesn't at least hit the standard, he will not make it. And I think it's a shame that a lot of people have this kind of perception that Chinese food can only be cheap, or they only associate Chinese food as cheap food that you would get for a few bucks. But look at the quality that they use, look at the preparation and the skill it takes to make some of these dishes. For example, the dessert we're having, even 1 degree off will ruin and curdle the whole dish. So it's not something that you can easily replicate even if you have the recipe. It really takes years and years of experience to be able to do that. But these same people have no problem spending $400 on an omakase meal or at a steakhouse. But once you say we're spending that much at a Chinese restaurant, some of them get turned off. And I think there's a little bit of, self-racism at that. Why is Chinese food cheap? Why can't it be seen as a fine dining cuisine? And if people are used to having banquet food or people are used to going abroad, there's a such thing as expensive Chinese food, fine dining. But I think here in America, maybe they're used to a lot more of the Chinese American food. And so some people still can't quite process that. So I hope that places like this really are able to change their mindset of what the possibilities are, especially if they're not familiar with it. So maybe one day, instead of going to a steakhouse, which is great, but they're throwing a slab of meat over a fire, maybe have something a little bit more elevated. But maybe they can say, oh wow, I thought that meal was worth it. I think that's something we're not quite there yet, unfortunately. And so I would love for that to be, the common thought of people coming to SGB thinking like, hey, we're having great food. There's so much skill set that goes into every dish. So that would be my goal.
Yeah, I think it's a great goal, and something like the Peking duck is such a good exemplifying dish because of that, because it's a 12-day prep process.
Right.
Like the amount of labor and skill that's going into that, and even like how discerning the chef is such a good exemplifier. And if we're talking about a steakhouse, like it's really not that different than like dry aging a steak or something like that. But there's even like more thought and care going into it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy when anyone comes to this area. I feel like it's very underserved, not talked about enough. And for something that feels like it's in its own bubble to a lot of people, even though it's not too far from a lot of places, I mean, I invite people to come here and check it out. Even just go to the local market and see what there is. You might be so surprised at what there is instead of going to Trader Joe's and Costco. There's a whole world out there.
Chris Yang is the chef owner of Yang's Kitchen, which is one of my favorite restaurants in all of Los Angeles. Yang's is an absolute must-visit for any visitor. It's an all-day cafe where you can order chicken liver mousse, oysters, the most amazing mochi pancake, incredible chicken wings, and many daily specials. I've been to Yang's Kitchen twice now. It's getting better and better each visit, and this is one of my favorite restaurants in Los Angeles. And it's just such a credit to you and your wife and your staff. It's just a really special place. Tell me a little bit about how you found this location in Alhambra, a place that you grew up in, and a little bit about the Alhambra restaurant scene.
In terms of, landing in Alhambra, one of my business partners, I used to work in his restaurants, and I was talking him up to help me open a restaurant. And he happened to have a space in Alhambra that, he couldn't really lease out. It was kind of sitting there for a while. And my mom happened to be the real estate agent. After a while, we were like, should we just open here? And yeah, that's what we decided to do.
Give me a little bit about your background before Yang's. I'm actually unsure of where you've cooked before. You said you worked in the industry. I'd love to get a sense of that.
So I started off working at Bryant Ing's The Spice Table in Little Tokyo. I actually started working there for free. I was picking herbs. I had no experience. I had no idea what I was doing. I think I worked there for like a year and a half or so. That was my first job.
Such a legendary place. I was fortunate enough to visit when it was open, and amazing place.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's so many people who say they miss that restaurant, and I don't know if you guys know the story, but the Metro took the space over. So they basically, the Metro ruined that for everyone.
But he's still in LA cooking as well.
Yeah, so the one of the next places I worked at is his next restaurant, Casilla in Santa Monica. It's a French, Singaporean, Vietnamese brasserie, kind of inspired by Balthazar in New York. I gained a lot of my working experience from there as well, where I worked my way up to be a sous chef. And yeah, those were probably the two most important places that I worked at.
Oh, that's cool. So Casilla, and now that you told me this, I see it. Like there's some inspiration from it. You're of course doing your fully own version of your restaurant, but the Singaporean brasserie with you're doing oyster service. It just like kind of comes together. And so you left Casilla to open Yang's?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What was the moment? Was it your mom's real estate tip, or was it just like you just wanted to do your own thing?
Yeah, I think it was kind of naive. Like, the thoughts are really simple. Like I've always wanted to, since I was younger, I've loved food. And since coming out of college, I thought, maybe I'll open my own restaurant one day, without knowing any of the business background or how to run the business. But I knew I could cook. And working at Bryant's Place gave me a lot of great experience, with cooking, with managing people. And yeah, I just wanted to open a restaurant.
Yeah. Reflecting on it, was it the right decision?
I think it turned out to be a good decision in terms of, just peer learning and experience. Could I have worked in the industry longer? Could I have learned more things? Certainly. I think it would have been smoother, but I think that's kind of for everyone. It's like you never really know when you're truly ready. So you just have to take what you get out of it.
No, absolutely. And the fact that you can open a restaurant with two eyes open and correct those mistakes in real time, but painful, right? Did you have some moments where you're like, is this gonna really work? Some doubt?
I mean, I still think about that every day. It's been 5 years, and it's probably been some of the most painful years of my life, but also the most growing I've ever done. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're being honest here, and I respect that. I mean, the business is not easy. You're on the 101, you have adoring fans, but there's still, you have to get butts in the seat every single day, and it's a very competitive city, and the costs are high too.
Yeah, every day there's restaurants closing around us, which is really scary. And I think too, since COVID happened, like every year there's been no consistency. Year after year after year, we don't really know what's the new normal. We don't know what's going on, so that's the really scary part too.
Yeah. You opened kind of quietly, but then people started to come here. And what I have observed is that the media members, the folks who I really respect in food, also people who work in the industry, had been saying, you got to get out to Yang's. Yang's is so special. Yang's is like this, they're turning, the French bistro on its head by offering, like raw oysters in addition to a mochi pancake, in addition to a Japanese style breakfast set. And I mean, it was just cool to see you open quietly. What are those first couple years like?
Yeah, so we opened in 2019, right before COVID, and we actually had opened with a separate concept. We tried to do something that was more fast casual. We were doing kind of like Taiwanese comfort food at that time, but it was more Asian American. But a lot of people labeled us Taiwanese because we did some dishes that were like very near and dear to like Taiwanese comfort food. And things were tough because we had no idea what we were doing. I had worked in restaurants for years, and I knew how to cook. I did work my way up to a management position, but I never had run a business before. So, we were just trying to cook. We were trying to do something different. We were trying to kind of push forward Asian American cuisine, using local ingredients, seasonal ingredients, farmers market ingredients, cooking things from scratch, paying attention to the details. And yeah, that's kind of just, it's been a journey. And then with COVID, we had to close. We had to reconsider our business model, and it's kind of been nonstop adapting and learning.
When I say French bistro, of course it's not a French restaurant, and to be clear, it's Taiwanese, it's Japanese, it's Chinese, it's modern. But just for some reason, the style of service with the all day menu, and then you go into a dinner service, it feels like there's a root of France in here. Is that an accurate observation?
So the funny thing is, I've never been to France, but I'm on Instagram. I follow all the restaurants, and definitely like I admire really strong food cultures. Such as French food culture. I've been to Spain, Japan, Hong Kong. I think a lot of those food cultures share things in common, and they're kind of fanatic. They're like the foodies over there in those countries are fanatical about the ingredients, about the technique, to the point where we kind of all obsess about food in almost an unhealthy way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're my people. I love that. Chris, tell me, how do you see yourself, redefining modern Asian American cooking? And really, how has the San Gabriel Valley really been this mecca for Asian food of all types in different formats, but in such a modern way? And on this episode, we have plenty of examples.
Yeah, I don't like to consider myself as redefining Asian American food because, the more I think about it, I think it's just a natural evolution. I have two cultures. My parents are immigrants from Asia, and I was born here. So that's what makes me Asian American. I do think our cuisine is kind of like a natural evolution of what's going on in the San Gabriel Valley. I mean, there's thousands of other kids like myself who are second generation Asian Americans. And we grew up on our parents' home cooking. We grew up on American food, fast food. So kind of, just kind of merging those two cultures together it's kind of just the natural next step of what's going on in this country, in this area. yeah, we're just slowly heading in that direction.
Yeah, it's an exciting place to follow as a food writer. I don't live here, but I get to visit quite a bit, and I always try to make it out to a couple new restaurants in the San Gabriel Valley. And I like that you push back on the idea of redefining, because I think that that's I love that you said that. I think that it is an evolution. It's not about the hard redefinition. So thank you for correcting my statement. Let's talk food. I think what's cool about your restaurant, as I mentioned, is there's multiple formats. It's an all-day cafe. There's a really strong just breakfast. If you come in at 9 a.m., you're going to have, your version of the Grand Slam. We'll talk about that. But also at dinner time, you switch gears. But let's start with the daytime menu. You've got the mochi pancake. You've got this incredible, idea. I think your fig salad yesterday was such a highlight. Talk about how you came upon some of these dishes for your daytime menu.
Yeah, so when we started doing brunch at Yang's, we wanted to make it our way, which is as we were going, as we were learning, as we were growing, we wanted to start with the ingredients. We have a farmer's market right next to us every Sunday, so that's where that's our jumping off point. And just breakfast is really simple, but it makes a big difference in the ingredients that you source. Starting with the eggs, to the proteins. So in our cornmeal mochi pancake, the idea came from using blue cornmeal from Gristentol. Gristentol is a local grain mill out here in Pasadena. And we had never made a cornmeal mochi pancake before, but we wanted to use our ethos of finding a really great local ingredient and kind of adding an Asian twist to it. So that's where the mochi part came in. And for the mochi, we use Coda Farms glutinous rice flour, which is from Sacramento. So, it's domestic, it's local, fits our ethos. They farm really great. They're at the farmer's market. And so we tasked our chef de cuisine, Elaine, with putting together a recipe. It's like there was no recipe online for a cornmeal mochi pancake. So we kind of had to put together existing mochi pancake recipes, and we made it happen, and that's kind of the story of how we're serving that dish.
Yeah, and then you had persimmon, jam on it yesterday, or compote, and then you have, instead of traditional maple syrup, you're using condensed milk, which I think is very cool.
Yeah, so the persimmon jam is a seasonal component. It's fall right now, so persimmons are actually it's winter,
Yeah.
fall, winter, but there's persimmons everywhere at the farmer's market. There's a lot of seconds because, they get kind of mushy, but those are perfect for jam. We cook them down for a few hours. In terms of the condensed milk, in Asian cuisine, we like to put condensed milk on toast, on buns, French toast. It's kind of like a fun twist on syrup. So that's kind of that's kind of where our Asian Western mishmash continues.
Tell me about this salad. It's multi-grain rice. It's got kale and cilantro. It has this wonderful miso dressing, and of course it has persimmons, but you're not using the mushy kind. You're using the ones that are a little bit firmer. And my man, what a dish! I we see a lot of beautiful salads in Southern California, but when that's my favorite dish of our meal yesterday. I just love that.
Yeah, the salad came from when we opened the restaurant, we wanted to provide something healthy. And actually, when you go to a lot of restaurants in the San Gabriel Valley, you don't really find raw vegetables or salads on the menu, because that's not really part of, let's say, authentic Asian culture. But, being Asian American, we wanted to put a salad on the menu, because first of all, we want to eat healthy. We want to eat salads. And, we know that a lot of our customers feel the same way. So it kind of started from there. And from there, again, building off the ingredients in our base and our core menu items. It actually started with the multi-grain rice, which is part of the grain base of that salad. We serve that in our set meal. It's like a healthy rice with black rice, brown rice, white rice, and millet. And then, kale salads are popular, and we wanted to put something together. And then, the seasonal components, the persimmon, put some herbs, we put some dates, some crispy rice.
Oh yeah, the dates. I'm sorry, I forgot about the most important part. The dates. Beautiful salad. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just jump in and ask you about the breakfast sets. The breakfast sets are they traditional Japanese, or is it your version of it? I mean, I think that if you're here during the day, you've got a beautiful steelhead. You could do braised tofu, a beautiful miso soup there, some pickles, a great egg. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, the sets are inspired by Japanese breakfasts. One of my favorite places to travel for food inspiration is Japan. And, they do these incredible, really well-balanced breakfasts that have like rice, vegetables, soup, egg, protein, all the things that you just mentioned. And we just want to do our take on it because we don't necessarily want to say that we cook authentic Japanese food because we don't. But yeah, so it's kind of like a Californian Asian version of it with, seasonal produce. We still have the rice component, the soup, the protein, and it's our version of it. And, I think people appreciate it because it's different from just having your typical hash brown, pancake, protein, which we also serve. But
yes, you do. And my last visit a couple months ago, you were doing a amazing hash brown with I think creme fraiche and some ikura or something like that.
Yeah, so we have a dish called our smoked salmon hash, which we have house-made hash brown brick, basically. We put a Meyer lemon creme fraiche on top, smoked salmon, ikura, dill, chives, and, it's kind of like a fun dish that we thought would go really well for brunch. And it's funny about how many people ended up liking it. A lot of people, it says it reminds them of certain like European dishes or, in Jewish cuisine. There's a lot of like crossover. So people have been really happy with that dish.
It like reminds me of pomme dauphine or other, French style of doing fried potatoes. And order it. If you're coming out here to SUV Tiang's Kitchen, order that one. Well, I have to ask you about your soft serve because, you have legit fans. I mean, people will come here just for the soft serve and there's a lot of great ice cream in this town, but your soft serve is on the top of many lists. Talk about the evolution of that.
Yeah, so the soft serve idea actually was inspired by our trips to Japan. It's a funny story. Basically, when I traveled to Japan, there's this thing called soft cream or milk soft serve. It's plain. There's no vanilla flavor. And the first time I ate it, I was like, this is incredible, like compared to, if you compare it to McDonald's in America, the Japanese soft serve wins hands down. And the funny thing is my wife will, kind of laugh at me for this, but almost every time I saw a milk soft serve in Japan, I would order it. So that means I might eat like 5 in a day, which is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, so to tie that back to Yang's, is the thinking was, this isn't really prevalent in America. And I was wondering how come no one's serving it. So, we just got just on a whim, we got a soft serve machine. We sourced a really great soft serve from Strauss, up in NorCal, all organic, all regenerative, pasture raised. It starts with high quality dairy. And then we also started adding a sorbet line because, there's a lot of people who are either lactose intolerant or they're vegan. So we started using seasonal produce and making our own sorbets in-house. And, one of the really fun ones that we've been doing is the Weiser melon sorbet. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that one, one of my customers kept asking me to do it and I was kind of resistant.
You took a request.
Yeah.
That's so great.
So yeah, we tried it and we were like, wow, this is really good. And, people who tasted it were kind of blown away. And yeah, that's kind of, ever since then, we've been doing seasonal sorbets and just cranking out soft serve.
Oh my God. So what's on the vision board for 25 for soft serve flavors?
We kind of have a rotation now. In the winter, there's not too much fruit available. So we do like citrus and passion fruit. Early in the spring, we've done a strawberry sorbet before. Melon kind of rolls around in the summer. But yeah, it's all inspired by the market. So if there's ever something different we want to try, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, I have to close by asking you, I know it's impossible to pick favorite restaurants in SGV. You grew up here, you run a restaurant, and I know you can't go out to all the restaurants. So simply, what pops into your head right now, maybe places you've been to recently, just restaurants that we should be maybe visiting.
Yeah, the most recent restaurant I went to is this little Taiwanese mom and pop joint called Golden Leaf. It's actually kind of like right down the street from us. Taiwanese food, as popular as it is, it doesn't get a ton of representation in this area or in America in general. And I just think that this family over at Golden Leaf, I think that they run it, a mom, a dad, a son. It's a really tight business. I think there's a certain element of really home style cooking to them, like authentic or honest cooking to their food that I enjoy. There's no frills. It's just delicious. It's accessible.
What's a dish
Uh,
or two to order there?
so they do a braised pork rice that we love. And then, they'll do like a oyster pancake, Taiwanese oyster pancake. One fun one that's kind of like, if you're a little adventurous, get their fried intestine dish. So basically, it's braised pig intestine, and then you deep fry it. So it's crispy and it's gooey at the same time. A little, it could be a little scary to, if you've never had intestine before, but it's a really fun dish.
Golden Leaf, definitely gonna put that on my list. What's another couple of restaurants that we should go to?
Another really fun one right down the street from us is a Sichuan restaurant called Xiang La Hui. I think David Chang and Jonathan Gold talked about that restaurant a lot. It's interesting because every time I go to that restaurant, it's kind of like it's roulette. The food is so spicy that I kind of have stomach problems like 50% of the time after I eat there, but the food is delicious.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
We know that situation where it's like, oh, the burn is what you get, but we're okay with it.
Yeah.
And
I think if one more restaurant, if you want to impress people, really high-end cooking, really nice space, a lot of different dining options available, is obviously Bistro Na.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell us when you go to Bistro Na, what are you ordering?
At Bistro Na, you definitely got to get the crispy shrimp. But what's impressive about their offerings is they have the whole gamut, like kind of cold dishes. They have seafood. They have the carbs. They have dessert. They have proteins. So it's really hard to go wrong because and I think they have pictures on the whole menu.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like every time you can get something different.
It's a book. It's literally like a thick book.
Yeah.
Menu. It's amazing. Well, Chris, thank you so much for the conversation, and really you got to head out to Yang's Kitchen. It's one of my favorite restaurants in the country. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, and thank you for your time. Thank you for talking to everyone about what we do, this area. I think everyone should support restaurants as much as they can right now, especially mom and pops, independent restaurants. There's a lot of them out here, so it's a tough time. So thank you.
So well said. Thank you so much. Well, as we are here, we have some highlights. We've had such a great trip. We've had amazing tour guides. We've had some meals. We've consumed some calories and had an amazing. We've had some amazing travels to Southern California. Let's start with Orange County with your highlights. Give me one.
Orange County. Wow, we had really so many meals over this entire trip and a lot in Orange County. But I think one of my standouts was going to Northgate Market, which people listening, if you're from California, probably know about Northgate Market, Northgate Gonzalez Market. Two favorites, two sweet things that we had. Going to El Moro, which is like this very famous Mexico City churros place that it's their first location outside of Mexico. I was just so excited to wait in line and get one of their really beautiful, long, slender churros and dip it in chocolate and cajeta. And it really tasted just like I remember it tasting on my trips to Mexico City. And I was doing some research and I saw that they're actually opening another location in Echo Park next year. So exciting to see that they're going to have more churros. But right now, the fact that you can get them at that Northgate Market was so special. And I also really loved the mame paletas that they were selling just right by the register. The paletas are from La Nena, and it really was just creamy. It had that delicious kind of caramelized mame flavor. And I just, I wish I lived here so I could go there all the time.
Well, I'm going to stay down in Orange County. I'm going to stay in Costa Mesa, actually. We had to make an important choice. We had to try some pizza on this trip. And, there's a lot of great pizza in Orange County. And really, when tapping into our experts and doing the research, this name kept coming up, and it's Folks Pizza. Now, Folks is located in a retail plaza called The Camp. And, there's a lot of cool shops there, some indie markets there. It's a really nice afternoon place to stroll around. But really, the longest lines are for this great pizza. The owner is Joey Buderbach, and he told Eater, quote, "What we're doing is artisan-style pizza. We don't check boxes from any other style." So I love that quote. I read this great piece about the history of this restaurant, and he'd worked in restaurants in LA, and he moved down there because he wanted to start a family. It was a great story. And really, it isn't a classic Neapolitan, even though he uses a high-temperature wood oven. I felt that the flavor development in the dough was tremendous. It was a really beautiful pizza. The one we tried was actually a potato pizza from Weiser Farms Potatoes, the Carlo Rosa potato. With lots of onions that were slow cooked, some beautiful cheeses, Taleggio and Fontina and Pecorino all together. And really, I thought this pizza, I love potato pies, but they can be not good sometimes when the potatoes are undercooked or if it's imbalanced. They're known for their sausage and fennel pie, but we went with the potato. I thought that it was a great pie, but really, they have some French fries and like ordering French fries before you get a pizza, not the typical 1-2. I saw that it was a $10 French fry. I'm like, okay, guys, you're coming to play with a $10 French fry. And we were all extremely excited about these fries. They're fried in beef tallow, and there's clarified butter that's kind of drizzled on top of them. So they have this nice shine, and there's a lot of salt there. 2 dips, a whole grain mustard, aioli, I always mess that up. I'm just going to keep mispronouncing it, and Heinz. Really nice basket of fries. I like the way they cut it too. It's like a nice and short. Really cool. So like French fries and beautiful pizzas at Folks Pizza. Really nice discovery. Thank you to our friends who suggested it.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of pizza on this trip, and that was definitely my favorite as well. So I'm glad that you're calling it out.
What's your next thing?
My next thing, also down in the Long Beach area, we went to A&J Seafood Shack, which is a little like drive up, walk up, Cambodian style seafood place in Long Beach. It's run by the same family, the Tan family that also has Phnom Penh Noodle Shack, which has been kind of a staple in Long Beach since they opened in 1985. This is kind of like the younger generation's take on a seafood restaurant, and it was just so delicious. I really loved the garlic butter shrimp that they did over rice with cilantro and pineapple, and also the Khmer sausage that comes over rice. I think, obviously you come for the seafood, but just the rice that soaked up that kind of garlicky marinade and the shrimp flavor was so delicious. And I think if you're going to the beach or like to watch the sunset at the marina, it's kind of the perfect place to pick up something and go.
I loved our dinner there, and I get to meet your family. I get to meet your parents.
Yeah, bearing the lead. This is what I'll say is that my parents are West Side LA folks, and they were lured down to Long Beach, maybe because they wanted to see me and Clayton and Matt, but I think mostly because I sent them some photos of the shrimp and they were interested. So if that's not a glowing endorsement, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I love that restaurant. It was cool. It's like a really nice outdoor stand, and you can on a hot summer night, I could see that being a really fun place. Sticking in Orange County, and really this is a restaurant that has locations in proper LA, out in El Monte as well. I finally got to go to a proper Burritos La Palma location. Now, I've talked about Burritos La Palma on the show in the past. They have had a stand at Smorgasburg on Sundays in downtown LA for years. And I've always enjoyed them, but I finally got to go to a proper location out in Costa Mesa. And let me tell you, when we went to the counter to order, of course, we had the cheese and bean burrito, which is what they're known for. We asked them, so who does your tortillas? And the response was, what? We have a guy? Something like that?
Yeah, they have a guy. He brings tortillas.
They have a guy. Like, we were just like trying to these are amazing tortillas. These flour tortillas are pressed. And I actually read up about it, and they have like a whole factory, and they're beautiful flour tortillas that make this burrito one of the best in Southern California. And they have locations all over, as I mentioned. But I really like the size of them. They're very pocketable. They're kind of tiny. You can have a couple of them, and you're not going to go crazy. And I just love them. I mean, I just love a good flour tortilla, and you have to seek out Burritos La Palma. We went to the one in Costa Mesa, as I mentioned, but I love that spot.
Yeah, they're doing a really great Zacatecan style burrito. The family's from Zacatecas, where they had their first taqueria, and you're right, it's almost like a Hot Pocket size burrito, and they're less than $5 each. I think my favorite was the birria taco, and you can get it with the bean and cheese as well, so it has a little bit more of texture going on. But I really, I love a good flour tortilla as well, and I think it was a good stop.
What is your next thing?
My last one that I'm going to call out is one of the many highlights from our amazing San Gabriel Valley tour that Christy Hang took us on. And it was actually our first stop, but it was so memorable to me, which was the banh mi at Banh Mi Hua Fat. They're doing a couple different styles, but it's their crispy roast pork banh mi that I think everyone comes for. And we were talking with one of the regulars in line, and he was saying that he's tried everything on the menu, but that's the one that he comes back for. It's just like the perfect combination of this really pillowy, like not too sharp and crunchy French bread that they bake in the back every morning. And then this really crispy roast pork. I really respect what they're doing there so much. And, even the roast pork banh mi, which is the most expensive one, is like $7.50. Also, they're very much in demand. Like Christy was saying that people will call in on the weekends at 8 in the morning to reserve theirs, and that they honestly sell out by noon and just stop answering the phone. So I think if you want to try it, you absolutely should, and maybe like call in so you can have that experience.
Well, I loved Christy's tour, and I love that she took us there. And really, I talked to the chef, on the side. He said they were doing between 500 and 800 sandwiches a day out of that small shop. And about the crispy pork, reminds me a bit of porchetta, the way that you've got that really crispy outer skin and just intense flavor inside of it. It really is this crispy pork in its finest form, but of course with the banh mi, with all the great herbs, and of course this beautiful sauce. It's definitely fish sauce and lime. I didn't ask him his secret recipe for the sauce, but I enjoyed pouring little splashes of the sauce over the sandwich at different points in having the sandwich. The bread was perfect. I mean, it's a beautiful banh mi bun. I loved how crispy it was. It was just a great sandwich, and obviously the lines justify this.
Yeah, I'm already thinking about it again. Do you have one more to share? I
have two more to share. I'm going to stick in the San Gabriel Valley. On the tour with Christy, she took us to Good Alley, which you heard about on the episode. But what I liked most was this Moscato grape slushy drink. I don't know how to describe it, but so this drink, it's really special. It starts with grapes that are muddled. There's a little bit of green tea in there, crushed ice, and it's all working together. And then at the top, there is a salted cheese foam that marries with the grapes and the tea, and as you put your straw down, you're kind of like lifting up this beautiful grape green tea liquid, and you're getting a little bit of that foam. I cannot stop thinking about this drink. It was such a cool combination that I'd never had myself. I'd never really had Moscato grapes in a drink like that, and I thought it was terrific.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much care that goes into that drink. They peel every grape by hand before they muddle them so that you don't have any of the tough skins going on. And then that cheese foam is so creamy and aerated, and it's almost like, the crema you would get on top of a latte.
Yeah, I love that. And the last one, Yang's Kitchen, you heard the interview at the top, and really I love this salad that they were doing on this weekday for this weekday special. It was kale and cilantro were the greens, and I love that blending of greens, dates and persimmons, and a bed of multigrain rice with a miso vinaigrette. I love the way it all worked together. It was the highlight of this meal. We, of course, had the mochi pancakes and the beautiful coffee drinks there. And we've talked about Yang's quite a bit. It was one of my top meals of the year. But I was surprised by a special there. And I just think that what Chris is doing there is so, it's like a very special place. You should go to Yang's Kitchen if you can. If you're there in work or there for pleasure, you should take a quick Uber down to Alhambra to Yang's Kitchen. What a salad. I love it.
Yeah, thank you for taking me on all of these meals. We had so many amazing experiences. It's been fun to recap them with you.
What a fun trip. What a great episode. I just want to come back to Southern California. I want to come back to California. I love the state. So much interesting food happening. And I think we just got a little slice with this episode. But man, I cannot wait to get back.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for listening to this very special episode, brought to you with support from our friends at Visit California. Special thanks to the fine folks at the Hilton San Gabriel, and to all the guests we spoke with on the episode. This is Taste is hosted by Eliza Abarbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is produced by Shalia Harris and Pat Stango and edited by Clayton Gumbert. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all cool things that are happening.